Welcome into another episode of the Player Card Show. I am your host, Chris Gorez, and today I am joined by Virginia Tech center back Mason Nelson, class of 2026. Mason, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, so you and I have had a pretty cool relationship over the years, and today we're just going to have a conversation about your sports journey. Is that cool?
I'm so excited.
Cool. So let's take it back to when we met. You remember that day?
I do remember that
day? All right, so young Mason, that's what were you, 15 years old?
14, yeah.
That's right, yeah. And we met because you wanted to get faster. Yeah?
That was definitely a goal of mine, and I think like when we started training, that was something that you were like pushing me towards, being like, let's get fast, and I was like, I don't know how much faster I'm going to be able to get, but we definitely put in the work, and I feel like we created such a special bond at like 14, known each other for how long? Like 10?
Oh my gosh,
8 to 10 years.
Yeah,
maybe?
I guess that's been almost 10 years now, right? Yeah.
So it's just been so special, and like I'm so thankful for the relationship that we've built.
Yeah, absolutely. So it started out as speed training, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I want to get into is it quickly took a turn when you tore your ACL, right? And it's an unfortunate circumstance, but it's a conversation that I think is important because so many girls go through it. It's just a thing that we wish would go away, but it doesn't. So let's go back to the initial ACL tear, right? I know how, like, I remember the conversation I had with your dad, but from your perspective, like, did you know right away when you did it?
I don't think I knew I tore my ACL, but I definitely knew something was wrong. It was our first game of the season, like maybe 3 minutes into the game. I had received the ball from our goalkeeper, and it was on my left leg, and I went to go clear it long, and this forward just ran right through my knee and blew it out. I heard like a loud pop, and then all I remember is being on the ground and my kneecap was like on the inside of my leg, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is not good. So I remember they just carried me off the field. My dad pulled around. My sister was actually like watching the entire thing because she had to play afterwards, which was definitely not good for her. But yeah, I was sitting there and the trainer was looking at me and was like, oh yeah, your kneecap, like maybe just head home. And I remember my coach was like, so can you go back in? And I was like, oh, definitely not.
Wow.
Definitely not.
Wow.
So after that, me and my dad went home, and from there got the MRIs, and the surgeon had actually told me, yeah, no, I don't see any ACL tear. Like, we see nothing. It's probably just a deep bone bruise. But we're going to do another MRI. Like, we'll look at it again. And then that was when I got the call, and they were like, hey, you tore your ACL and your meniscus. You're going to have to get surgery. And my whole life just stopped.
So much of that happened like in some pretty critical times for you, right?
Yeah.
Like that was towards the beginning of when you were able to start getting recruited, right? Mm-hmm. And I know that can be such a stressful time, right? And like how much more pressure did that put on you to come back early, or what did it feel like? Did it feel like, oh my God, I got to get back because if I don't get back, I'm not going to get recruited?
Definitely. I think that and you know this, I'm very hard on myself when it comes to soccer and just trying to hold myself accountable. And when that happened, it was prime time recruiting for my age, and a lot of girls had already committed. A lot of my teammates were committed, and it definitely put a lot of stress on me trying to get back, trying to make sure that I was going to be the best player I could be and even better, because these coaches were looking at us now. And during that time was also COVID. So we got hit with no training, no games, everything was canceled. And it honestly kind of worked out perfect for me because everything got canceled, so I didn't really miss much. But in those early kind of months before COVID shut everything down, I was really dark and kind of alone and felt like, oh my gosh, this is it. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to come back from this.
Yeah, I think that's such an important conversation because so many girls that go through it, and there are so many girls that go through it, they feel like the world is going to pass them by.
Yeah.
And for a young teenager who's played soccer all her life, so much of your identity, your self-esteem, your self-confidence, your self-worth is built into this game of soccer. And when that's no longer there, it's hard to feel like you're worth anything.
Yeah.
Right? So it ended up working out for you, right? You were able to still get recruited,
Yep.
right? You did the things that you needed to do to get back onto the field and become the player. So let's talk through that a little bit, because you had mentioned there is so much of that comparison of you see everybody else getting offers and things like that, but going into your recruiting journey, like what was the decision making process, or what were the things that were important to you as you started to look at schools and schools started to look at you?
Yeah. My first thing with looking at schools was I wanted to get out of Virginia. That did not work very well, but I wanted to go somewhere new and kind of try out a different place. And my club team throughout high school was so supportive, and still best friends with all those girls. And they really helped. We all kind of helped each other through that process. But watching my teammates commit, and 3 of my teammates actually committed to Virginia Tech before I did. So it was kind of just cool to see their process. My mom played soccer at South Carolina, so that was a big one for me. I was really interested in them, really wanted to go there, and things just didn't work out. That happens with the recruiting process. And Virginia Tech had reached out to me after a couple showcases and said that they liked my skill set and how I played. And to me, that was like, oh my gosh, somebody values me. Somebody is recognizing the hard work that I'm putting in, and it's showing. So that honestly made me feel really good, and went to a couple ID camps there. But Virginia Tech and South Carolina were the only 2 schools that I was in communications with. Talked a little bit to VCU, but it was really stressful, definitely, knowing that all my friends had all these different offers from all these big schools, and I was just sitting there with 2 being like, I hope one of these programs is going to be a fit for me. And went to a bunch of Virginia Tech ID camps. I got like MVP for my group when I had gone in high school. And then the day came where Chugger called me and he offered me a spot to come play at Tech. And right when he told me that, I was like, okay, I need to go talk to my mom really quick. Like, can I call you back? And so I talked to my parents, and they were so happy for me. They were so excited. And it kind of just felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders of, I'm not going to come back to who I was. I'm not going to be the player that I want to be. I'm not going to achieve any of my goals. And Virginia Tech kind of saved me. They picked me up and were like, hey, we want you. And being able to go to school with 3 of my best friends who I'd grown up with, and we're still all best friends now. But definitely going to Virginia Tech, making that choice was super important for me, making sure they had strong family values. Virginia Tech is like a huge community. The people there are so amazing. The team just felt like they were all my sisters, and everyone loved and respected each other. And I think that was the main reason too why I was like, I want to go here, because they made me feel included and made me felt seen as a player.
Awesome. So you recognize that Tech and South Carolina were 2 really good options for you, 2 legitimate options for you. From there, talk about how much work you put in to get yourself recruited, because you were at FCV, right? FCV St. James, whatever the long acronym is for it, right? So, and there's stuff that your club will do for you, but then there's stuff that you have to do on your own. And shout out to Brad and Stacy and to everybody in the family who, it's a group effort. Everybody's got to put in the work to do the research on the schools, to go to ID camps and things like that. So, I think that there's this dream that you're just gonna get noticed, right? And that's kind of delusional. Unless you're the player who is gonna be on the national team, like teams aren't just gonna show up at your door and be like, we'd love to have you, right? Talk about the work that you put in to get yourself recruited by these schools, and then once those conversations started, how much did you follow up with those coaches to let them know what was going on with you?
Definitely. The recruiting process was definitely crazy. The work being put in, I feel like, is something that a lot of people don't realize how hard it is, especially going through COVID. Everything was kind of shut down. After tearing my ACL and kind of working with you, I feel like we were training every single day. We were doing rehab, strength training, conditioning, everything. As much as possible, whether that was you commuting to me or us making the 1.5-hour commute out here. I feel like I was just really driven on trying to get back and trying to accomplish my goals of playing college soccer. again, my club team, they were also amazing. Everyone worked so hard. I think those girls also challenged me and pushed me to wanting to be the best, whether that was, doing training together on off time or just being able to hang out and really talk to each other and kind of see like, oh, okay, how's your process going? This is how ours was. And we were all super open and communicative about it. But yeah, I feel like my dad definitely held me probably the most accountable during that process. He was calling people, making me drive to Maryland 3 times a week to go do 5-hour training sessions with these college kids. And I was like 15 being like, oh my gosh, are they going to pass me the ball? So definitely that. I feel like my dad was my rock throughout all of this, and he really pushed me and got me to where I wanted to be. He never really took no for an answer. If I was like, I don't want to go, he was like, we're going. And I would go and I would enjoy it and I would have fun, and I wouldn't be where I am today without him and his encouragement. But just the training and trying to stay on top of the technical aspect, I feel like kind of gets lost nowadays. The crisp passing, the clean touches, focusing on that, I feel like was super important for me instead of just the fitness and, everything that kind of goes into that.
Yeah, so I think like from the physical side, from the player development side, you touched on a lot there, and a lot of that was outside of the club, right? So I think if you're a player who wants to go play at the next level and you think that you're going to get everything that you need from your club, you're a little bit delusional.
Yeah.
Your club is not meant for that. Like it's not the club's fault. That's not what they were meant to do. The club is meant to put you in a position where you can play games and create a competitive environment. But your development is your job, and to your credit and to Brad's credit, you guys put the work in. 2 things. So as a father and as somebody who knows you and has a relationship with you and has a good relationship with your dad, talk a little bit about that, because at the time it may feel like, hey, we're pushing you and making you do things that you don't want to do. But now you look back with a different lens and you're like, man, I'm glad that he did that. How, as parents, can we maintain that balance of, making sure that you're doing what you need to do, providing you the structure, while also giving you some decision-making power and not feeling like, hey, like I'm forcing you to do this, right? We're doing this because you told me this is what you wanted, right? How do we balance that as parents?
I would definitely say my dad is a pretty good example of that. I feel like people from the outside would see him as funny, and all my friends love my dad. They want him to make jokes and all this stuff. Like he's always just having a good time and trying to make everyone happy, obviously. But he really kept me going on my soccer journey, and he was making me go to everything. He was reaching out to people, trying to find different things for me to go to. And I really appreciate that he was going out of his way and taking time out of his day to help me become better. And I never asked him to do that. He always was doing it, and he was always one step ahead. I feel like a lot of people in my family definitely were like, hey, you're being too hard on her. Like, she's just a kid, like let her have fun. And I would always defend him and be like, no, he's trying to help me. He's trying to get me to where I want to go. So I would definitely tell parents that if your kid wants to accomplish their dreams, then help them do that. Do whatever you can for them. The extra stuff is always important. That's how you get better. That's how you grow. But there definitely is times where he gets it a little out of hand and gets excited because he just wants the best for me, and I appreciate everything that he's done. But I think just helping your child and keeping them on track with their goals, and let them do everything. But if you kind of see them start to teeter off a little bit, maybe that's when you give that kind of encouragement, or just being there for them, supporting them always. After having a bad game, when you get in the car and it's dead silent, that it wasn't very good. But I think just also having open communication is super important, and being able to have those tough conversations as, somebody who is watching me play and not as my dad. I want you to give me feedback as a fan or as a supporter or anything like that. Don't speak to me like you're my parent, because that's when the emotional aspect, I think, gets brought into it a little bit.
Yeah. I think I had plenty of conversations with your dad. I think that, number one, I don't work with people unless I know that the kid wants it. Because there are so many parents that reach out to me like, my kid wants this. And I'm like, no, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
They actually don't.
Yeah.
I don't think this is right. Right? So I never minded having those conversations and having those conversations with you.
Mm-hmm.
I remember having conversations with you. Hey, you think I should jet ski? May, are you dumb? No, we're not. No, we're not jet skiing. Like, no. But I remember being okay with it because I knew was ultimately what you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't force you to do things, but we educated you like, hey, this is maybe something that we have to forego for now or sacrifice. You're not going to be able to do this, or you do have to go to training. You do have to put this on your schedule because ultimately this is what you said you wanted. And and I could see that. I could see that with Chloe as well. Like, we knew that this is what you wanted to do. So if we know that's what you want, then we also have to implement that structure to get you to where you want to go. Because we can't expect you to know those things, right? But it starts with you knowing that that's what you actually want versus pretending like that's what you want, right?
Yeah.
So that was number one. And then number two, I think it was like one of the things that your dad did that maybe you didn't see was we had these conversations without you.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So like I would always encourage parents to, have somebody that you trust that you can talk to and bounce these ideas off of that is a neutral party. And sometimes I didn't want to be that neutral party. Yeah. Sometimes your dad would be like, my dad thinks this, I think this. What do you think? And I was like, hey, don't make me the decider here. I'm not trying to be the one. But it was good that you guys had people that you trusted, so that you have somebody else that can be like, hey, when you two were here going back and forth, who's up here that can be like, hey, no, this is probably what's best for what you want.
Yeah.
And then both of you guys can confide in that same person. So it was good to have that. All right, let's fast forward a little bit to Virginia Tech now. All right, so we're committed to Virginia Tech. We're going there. Is it everything that you dreamed of? Like, what were the roses and what were the thorns?
I would definitely say the roses of Virginia Tech was the community and the people, and it just felt like family the second we stepped onto campus. The team was welcoming all of us freshmen with open arms. We had a big class, and everyone was just super supportive of us. They were always inclusive. The campus is amazing. It definitely was everything I had thought it was going to be on the not soccer aspect.
Yeah.
I would say going in, I definitely went in with a big head. I was like, okay, I play in club, like I start, I'm good, like we're ready to go.
My club went to the national championship.
Exactly. I was like, we're good, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
And the first day of fitness, I remember standing there being like, oh my God, this is real.
Yeah.
They threw us out on the field. I'm pretty sure it was either pouring rain or some type of horrible weather. And we're like, go do 10 120s, just down and back. And I remember being like, oh yeah, okay, like we got this. This will be slight. And on rep 3, I was being like, I'm going to puke. This is not good. Yeah. So I definitely think that I went into college thinking that it was going to be the same as club. It was just going to be like you walk in, get it done, and then leave. But it was a whole different level on the soccer aspect, the nutrition, the being a student athlete and having to manage the school and also your tight schedule with sports. Yeah. I just do not think that I was prepared when I came in, and it definitely showed my freshman year. Yeah,
I think that's a tough transition for a lot of for every kid, for every school, for every sport, right? Like you get to the game, and it's a lot more competitive than you thought it was going to be. Yeah. Because you come from an environment where you guys were ECNL national championship competitors, and you were one of the best players on the team, and now you're nobody, right? And now you're like, even now as a senior, you're graduating, you're watching these freshmen come in, and it's like, oh, you think you're all that, right? Wait till we get on this line and have to sprint, right? And so, I remember going that myself as a freshman football player, thinking, oh, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna be all Ivy League, like there's nobody out here that can touch me, and then it's like, oh, these are grown ass men out here, right? Like these are grown ass women out here, and we're all competing for playing time, and it's hard. Like being a Division I athlete is a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifice. When you think about that, right? When you think about 16-year-old you, 17-year-old you who didn't know that, like how would you tell that kid how hard it really is and like how much you're going to have to sacrifice to be on that field?
I would definitely just say mentally prepare for it to not be what you expected. I would say go in and go full force. The second that you commit or whatever you have going on, I would tell any 16-year-old, be prepared. Be prepared for anything. Be prepared to go in, and you could be one of those players that starts and plays every single minute of every game. You could go in and sit the bench and they don't even know your name because they don't care. And that's just how it is. So I would honestly just say be prepared for anything, because you never know what is going to happen with college soccer specifically, but it's definitely not anything like club. I would say it jumps up off 50 to 100 levels. Like, it's insane, the difference.
Yeah. It's such, even just like from the money aspect, right? Because it's
yeah.
like when you're at club, you and your parents are paying to be a part of this club.
Yep.
So like that coach wants to treat you well because at the end of the day, like you're paying for that coach
Exactly.
to be able to be there, right? When you're playing for college, they're paying you to be here,
Yeah.
right? They're paying for your school, they're paying for your room and board, your jerseys, like that's their money now.
Yeah.
So like now they're paying you. It's very different, right? That level of expectation, right? Like I think everybody has this dream of, I'm going to play D1 soccer, I'm going to get an NIL deal, I'm going to get a scholarship, I'm going to be living the life. Like, no, there's a level of expectation that comes with that, and you got to compete, right? So, you know, in that environment, like, what did you have to learn to be able to compete on that level, and what were the things that you think that you brought with you that were like, okay, this is what prepared me for this?
I would definitely say, going back to club again, but our club coaches helped prepare me, I think, for what was to come almost. I think that the way that they laid down what they wanted, they were harsh on us. They told us exactly this is what we're going to do. And they believed in us, and they knew that we were good players, and they held us accountable for everything. So I think going into college, having that mindset and being like, okay, if a coach is yelling at me, you have to keep going, because they're not going to stop and wait for you. You just have to kind of go along with it. I would also say that just going in and working hard is going to do stuff for you, but I definitely think it's what you do with your other time. Obviously, making those connections with your teammates and, you know, really forming bonds with them is super important, because on the field, you can work your ass off, but going off the field, you have to spend 23 hours a day with these girls, and you're living with them, you're going to dinner, going to class with them. So really making those relationships last, and just knowing how important it is to build a community with your team. That was definitely super important for me, I feel like.
Yeah. Was that something that you had to like learn how to do, or is that something that, you know, you feel like was just something that you did?
I feel like it definitely was both. I feel like coming into college, specifically for me, was not as difficult, obviously being from Virginia, and it was close, and 3 of my club teammates who I've played soccer with for 4 years up to that point were also going there. So it was like I had my friend group and everything was perfect. But learning how to build relationships with the older girls and the upperclassmen, and just kind of realizing, okay, I'm 18 years old and I'm best friends with a 22-year-old. How is this like different than when I'm talking to another 18-year-old? I think it was just the learning process of knowing who you're talking to and learning different people's personalities and the way that they communicate was something I learned along the way once I got to school.
And then diving into that network, diving into that community, and building that sisterhood, building that bond with your teammates, like how does that prepare you for the next phase? Because you, like 99% of athletes, like even the ones who do go D1, you're not going to go pro, not in the NWSL, right? You are going to go pro in something completely different. But how are you now prepared for that life, for life after school, for life after soccer?
I think the relationships that I've built have been with people who are very supportive of whatever I want to do. They always have my back, and there have been times when soccer ended and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I want to do with my life. And they were like, well, like, you have us, you'll be good. Like, they always supported me and had my back. And so I think that just having those stable relationships, really, where you can push each other, and always knowing that at the end of the day, if I'm not in my best like place, or kind of something like that, they're always going to be there for me. They're going to support me no matter what. If I'm at rock bottom or if I'm at the top, they're always going to be there. So I think having that support and foundation that I've built with those girls is super important for once we leave school too, because I'm still going to have those relationships, even if we're in different states or however far away we are, always just trying to stay in touch and keep communicating with them, I think is super important.
Cool. So, going back to 14, 15 years old, right? We take a look at this soccer journey from then till now. Like, how do you feel like you've been able to use soccer, right? Because for so many people, soccer uses them.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how have you flipped it and used soccer to get to ultimately achieve some of the things that you wanted to achieve? Maybe not everything, right? Like, you didn't win the national championship, but because it's really hard to win a national championship. Like, not everybody gets to do that, right? How have you used soccer?
I think that, most people who know me or talk to me know that I love soccer. I love watching soccer. I love playing. Like, I just think it's such an amazing sport. And going through my career, I definitely think that college taught me a lot, from coming in as a freshman to getting absolutely no minutes, being on the bench. Sophomore year, getting a little playing time. It was kind of iffy, play a little, get back on the bench. Junior year, went through and started all my non-conference games, got to ACC play, got sick with the flu, never touched the field again. But that year we made it to the Elite Eight. So learning how to understand that as bad as I wanted to be on that field, I had to kind of shift my perspective and take a different role and be supportive and support these girls, because as bad as I wanted to be out on that field, I couldn't. And there was nothing that I could do about it. I couldn't control anything. And senior year, really not getting any minutes or as many as I would have liked. But I think it's about the perspective that you take on it. And once I kind of learned that I can only control what I put out there and how I'm going to perform, that was all I cared about. And that was what I focused on. I didn't care about what the coaches thought of me, about maybe what people were saying about me or how I was playing. I just went out there and tried to have fun every day. And when I would do that, that would be when I would play the best, because I had nothing to lose. And I went out there and just enjoyed every moment of it. So I definitely think soccer has taught me patience and kind of just to control what you can control, because there are so many things that go on in college sports. You obviously know that, but injuries, playing time, stuff like that, there's nothing that you can do but control what you put out there. And I think that's super important for people to realize. And once you kind of have that mindset, you just play freely, because you're just putting yourself out there, honestly. So.
I love that. We always talk about just owning your own journey, right? Like, there's always something that you can do, and there's always something that's out of your control, right? And like, for you to worry about the things that are completely out of your control, you're just going to stress yourself out even more, because what can you do about it?
Exactly.
Right? What can you do? So, and for you to have that perspective going through freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, your playing time going up and down and fluctuating, not being what you want, and then just to find joy in the game. I think that's such an important lesson, because not everybody gets to do that, right? Even with success, right? Like, finding joy in the game has nothing to do with playing time.
No.
Nothing, right? Like, you could play a minute, you could play all 90, but you can still enjoy the game. It doesn't, that doesn't determine how much you take away, So let's go back to 14-year-old Mason. What would you tell her? How would you tell her to enjoy the journey and own her own and control her own controllables, right? What would you tell her? Because there are so many who are out there listening now who were there and they're starting their recruiting journey, and they're trying to figure out what school to go to and what matters. Like, do ID camps matter? Does team minutes matter? Does training matter? Like, talk to 14-year-old Mason. What would you tell her?
I would probably just say have fun and enjoy every single day. And I know that's kind of hard to say, but if you go and you have a bad practice, just as hard as it is, try to kind of move on and just say, I got to go out and play today. I got to enjoy that, because again, there are a lot of uncontrollables, injuries and stuff like that happen. So I think also going through an injury so young, like such a serious injury, it also was kind of just like enjoy every moment. And it's hard kind of to put into words, I guess, how to enjoy every moment, because it's very different for people. But
I think it's also like this is where, like, joy isn't necessarily the absence of struggle.
Yeah,
right.
definitely.
Like just because you're full of joy doesn't mean you're not struggling. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like I always tell people that joy isn't necessarily waiting for the sun to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Joy is learning how to play in the rain.
Yeah.
Right. So like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, those moments of adversity are going to come. That doesn't mean that you don't enjoy it. Right.
Yeah. It's just how you handle it. And I think how you take it and what kind of approach you take from that. And if you have something, let's say an injury or something like that, it's kind of how you react and how you get up from that, and not, oh, I'm injured, I'm just going to sit here and everything sucks because I can't do anything. So I definitely think it's the perspective, and just all the young people out there, I just hope that they just have fun and enjoy it, because I miss club soccer every day. I miss going to practice. I miss being with my friends and just having fun like that. Obviously, college is fun, but just don't take it as serious, I think, sometimes too, because there's a lot where it's like you need to train every single second of every day and put in the work, but also don't forget that you're still a kid and you still have time to enjoy before you go to school and everything kind of gets stressful. So I would say work hard and just try to enjoy it as much as you can. Enjoy what you're doing. And if you don't like what you're doing, then maybe change it up and take a different angle or perspective from it.
Cool. That's a really good perspective. And last question, what was something that you thought mattered to you back then that actually didn't matter?
I would probably say, personally, I would say coaches' opinions on me as a player. I think in the past that I've let what people say about me or what they think about me determine how I played. And that definitely showed when I was playing. I was sitting there being like, I don't want to mess up because I'm terrified of what's going to happen. So I think when I stopped caring about other people's opinions on me and what they thought and how they thought I was playing, and they wanted to tell me I wasn't the player that I am, just kind of tuning that out and knowing that you got yourself to this point and a lot of people don't get this opportunity. So you know you're a good player. Keep playing that way and don't let anybody tell you that you're not.
Awesome. All right, I was lying. That was not the last question. One more question, because I think back of all the conversations that you and I had, and you know, I don't know what resonates with you. So, personal question, because you and I have had a lot of conversations. What was maybe one thing that I said to you that really stood out, that you really remembered and was like, oh, that's good advice? Because maybe I don't even remember what I said to you.
Let me think. There's honestly so many. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like we used to have like the longest, like deepest conversations about soccer and stuff, or if it was like homework. Yeah. I literally would call you and be like, hey, I have a question about this. Can you please help me? I would probably say, and this is maybe a little bit of a throwback, but when we went to the Onyx camp in Florida,
yeah,
and I was just freshly out of my ACL.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was just starting to touch the ball again, and I remember like we were doing like all this side stuff and like side training while all the other people were getting to play and scrimmage, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember just you literally sitting me down one time. It was like after the women had scrimmaged or something, and we were watching the game. And I remember kind of just being down because I didn't get to touch a ball, didn't really get to do anything. And you were just like, it takes time. Like, you will be there soon. Like, it just takes time. And as small of a moment as it was honestly something that did stick with me, because you were telling me to kind of just relax and kind of everything was going to work out the way that it was supposed to, and to kind of not get worked up. And I've taken that with me all the way until now. So I really appreciate you just always being there for me and telling me to kind of slow down and everything will work out and kind of take its course.
Love it. I love it. That I do remember that trip. I do remember that conversation. So thank you for coming out. Thank you for joining us on the podcast. So you guys can follow Mason on Instagram. Get everybody your Instagram real quick.
Mason Nelson.
Pretty simple. Mason Nelson. Again, Virginia Tech center back, class of 2026. Thanks, and that is the episode for the Player Card Show. Own your own journey.